And welcome to this edition of Trader Talk TV. Today we've got Lou and Richard from NYIAX. Gentlemen, thank you for inviting me to your lovely offices.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good to have you.
And today we're going to talk about this this concept of a future exchange that the gentlemen are building out. So, gentlemen, before we jump into the questions, just give us an overview of what you do at NYIAX and your role here.
Sure. So I'm Lou Severine. I'm the Chief Executive Officer. I run the day-to-day, go over hiring, fundraising, and also, as my background, I kind of oversee a lot of the sales. I have a sales background in digital media for about 17 years now, at companies like AOL and Microsoft.
Hi, I'm Richard Bush. I run product and technology, and my background has been with the likes of AOL, AdTech, and IPONWeb. It's been kind of three previous roles I've had, and I've always focused on the technology and product in those roles. So,
gentlemen, futures. Why does advertising need futures? What is it, and what's the benefit? Lou, talk about this concept.
Yeah.
Because many people have tried to build this before, and many people have failed. And now, obviously, you to come in with a different angle and sort of building technologies to facilitate this. Why does advertising need futures?
Future contracts. So that's basically what our concept is a guaranteed future contracts market. We've partnered with NASDAQ, and NASDAQ offer their OMEX platform, their financial framework. NASDAQ is the largest trading technology platform in the world, and we're building our core product off of their financial framework technology. And the ability to be able to sell into the futures, kind of like in the stock market. Mm-hmm. So you want to buy limited market orders, you're able to buy out in the futures. It doesn't exist in today's world. So if you want to sell Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, Super Bowl, on and on and on in the digital world, you'll be able to do that, and you'll be able to do it in a future market. Mm-hmm. So if you want to buy it in March because you feel that you can take up all that inventory and it fits everything that you want to buy at that time frame, you're able to do it, and you're able to lock it in a guaranteed contract.
So at the minute, we're very much stuck in a kind of spot market buying scenario. We buy on the fly. We talk about these trading deals as well, but effectively we're still sort of in a spot market.
That's right. So from a technical perspective, from a product perspective, we're in a place where the delivery runtime ecosystem's evolved in the last 7 years very, very heavily, right? So the spot market, if you like, or the RTB trading has taken off and has done very well. It's created a great delivery infrastructure, but what's not been focused on, and this is the reason why we're focused on this today, is the forward marketplace for the contracting process, right? So, and that's, if you think about the financial market, that's the focus that the financial market has, right? It's taking the two parties and enabling them to buy and sell a contract, essentially the agreement between two parties about what's going to be bought and sold, and that's where we're focused.
What's the benefit for the publisher? Let's talk about, because obviously a publisher would love to be able to sell ahead of time because their financial director would be delighted with that, and they can become less short-termist, if you will. So what's the real benefit for a publisher here?
I'll start
with
it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think, first of all, as you mentioned, having guarantee upfront actually is useful for various parts of the market, but particularly publishers, because they can plan around that in a much more consistent way. The other benefit that we're enabling is you can sell and package up inventory in a way where it's essentially available in a similar way, that the data attributes, the contextual attributes, and so on and so forth that you might want to sell are traditionally only available for sale through an RTB exchange, for instance. Today, we can enable that, and I think the advantage for a publisher is, they're able to forecast, they're able to get an upfront capability in terms of selling, as well as still maintain the current selling approach they take through RTB. So we're actually, the way we interface with the market is we want to use the current delivery mechanisms that exist. So we're not mutually exclusive, if you like.
And then I suppose publishers can sort of use historical data that they have to price those contracts, Lou.
Correct. And they're going to price them in a more, I guess, efficient way for them, because now they're able to upload their sales packages, upload their inventory into our platform to get a direct, transparent way for the advertisers and the agencies to come in and buy. And they're also going to be able to alleviate a lot of what we call the programmatic tax today for the publishers.
Okay.
And I personally think that this platform will be a benefit to both advertisers as well as publishers, because now they'll be able to work with each other in a direct way, but indirectly through our platform.
And there's an element of transparency there.
Correct.
So you're looking to take a transparent fee for that transaction, basically.
Yeah, well, yeah. Every single contract that's going to be traded across our platform will take a transactional fee.
So just talk about conceptually, you're going to have a UI where you log in from the publisher's perspective, you package up the stuff you want, and then you start pinging various people on the various buyers to say, this contract's available, are you interested? Likewise, a buyer can go into the UI and say, I want these impressions around this specific date, and ping the publishers whether it's it. Is that how this is going to work?
Yeah, so I'll explain a little bit about, so we're bringing, our tagline is we're bringing fintech to ad tech. And so some concepts we're bringing which are new, but they're correlated to the advertising world. So I'll just explain. Now, once the inventory is in the system, you can create a sell order and a buy order. And that's the mechanism for which the matching happens, right? So sell order and buy order, on a sell side, if you create a sell order, that's, showing the inventory the publisher wants to sell over the time period they want to sell it, the description of the terms, description of the inventory, so on and so forth. And similarly, on the buy side, the buyers can put a buy order in and declare this budget they've got to spend over a certain period of time, right? So that's where the market's made, right? So you ultimately have buy orders and sell orders sitting on top of instruments, which is a description of the ecosystem around what the taxonomical structures and audience capabilities and ultimately user data is made. So to answer your question, you can, from both sides, you can discover inventory, trade inventory, and ultimately track delivery of inventory across both buyer and sell side, from both buyer and seller's perspective.
Why partner with NASDAQ? What's the rationale behind that? Is it, obviously there could be some room down the road to sort of open it up to sort of outside of the advertising industry, but initially, what's the thought process about working directly with the NASDAQ?
Yeah, so our three co-founders, Graham, Carolina, and Mark, come from different areas of the world. Mark Greenbaum helped build ISC's platform, which is Dow Jones. So he comes from the financial sector. Carolina she's a tax attorney as well as our general counsel and president. And Graham Mosley, who has worked at companies like PubMatic in the past, they basically were out looking for funding. And this was back in 2015, and they met our chairman of the board, Tom O'Neill, who sat on NASDAQ's board for 12 years, founder of Sandler O'Neill, and big in the financial community for almost 40 years. And he had a very good relationship with NASDAQ. And when they brought this concept to him, he kind of thought that this looks a little bit like the way financial trading works. So he went to Adina Freeman, who was the president of NASDAQ at the time, made the relationship. She loved the technology. She thought it was a great way for NASDAQ to take their financial framework out of just the fintech world and into the ad tech world, which, as we all know, is growing faster than any other industry. So it was a perfect marriage at the time, and it was kind of like everything aligned. They were looking to take their technology somewhere else. We were looking to build a different type of platform, hence the fact of bringing Wall Street to Madison Avenue.
And you're using blockchain as well. What's the sort of why use that specific technology in this instance? So
we actually made the decision around blockchain for a couple of reasons. There's because we're a new exchange. I think we have an advantage in using the latest technology, and particularly blockchain. We're using it actually as our core ledger, just as a kind of the baseline first step. That NASDAQ enables us to do that, because that's part of the NASDAQ financial framework. It's one of the three pillars of the focus they have as a company, which machine learning, blockchain, and cloud are the total, of which we're also bringing forward in the cloud. So, but back to blockchain. The transparency that ultimately provides, the security that it provides, and ultimately the trust that it can bring forward inside the advertising ecosystem is the main reason why we're focused there. And it's still very early. There's lots of different industries focusing on it, and back to our point is that we do this because we can, because we're starting, if you like, not from scratch because we have NASDAQ's backing, but we can implement this now at the core without too much just, if you like, having to swap things out.
What does a ledger do? It just tracks buyers and sellers, basically.
So the ledger itself basically keeps a transactional record
of what
of the transactions that we're enabling via NYIAX.
So let's talk about inside the actual platform itself. Once a contract has been formalized, between the buyer and the seller. Can the buyer then trade that with other buyers? So let's say that agency A buys that ahead of time, right? But then agency B or buyer B says, I've got really good data and I've got good sort of forecasting around that specific website at this time of the year, and I know that's worth X, or I know the conversions are going to be even better. So will there be a facility to trade those contracts then within the platform as well?
Yes, there will.
Yeah, so our focus, just to be clear in the beginning, is our focus is on the initial trade and getting the kind of system running at very just kind of first and second trade perspective. But the capability, of course, we bring forward with NASDAQ is to enable a retrade capability across buyers to. The process itself is original seller essentially is the only one that can really create a original seller order, which means that publishers essentially are the only ones that can be an original seller because they have an asset which they're ultimately selling. And once a buyer has bought that original seller's inventory, that can be traded and retraded under the rules of which that original seller has put in. It might be that the original seller doesn't want to retrade, for instance, or only wants to retrade to two parties, for instance. But under those rules, essentially retrading can happen again and again and again, and it can happen during the period of time where trading is enabled. So there's a trading period where there's a lock date. So up until lock date, you can essentially trade and retrade. And we have that lock date because there's a point in time which we start delivering, right? Yeah. So we need the time between the point at which we lock and the point at which delivery happens. Yeah.
Well, what about brand issues, brand safety issues? Are you going to build in sort of whitelisting capabilities, blacklisting capabilities? Because obviously, if you go down the road of trading contracts, you don't want any old buyer to serve an ad. I mean, is that something you're going to build in from the beginning?
Yeah, right. Definitely. Yeah, you're gonna be able to blacklist and if AT&T doesn't want Verizon right next to them, so that'll be built into the platform. Actually, it's being built in right now and being tested.
So, Lou, in terms of the appetite for this, I'd love to know, because obviously you're sort of in stealth mode, if you will, or still building this out. But the publishers you talk to, are they, and I suppose the buyers, particularly the agencies and brands, how much of an appetite is there for this particular technology?
Well, quite a bit so far. And, we talk about this a lot internally, that we've never ever, in all of the meetings that we've been to, and we've been going on meetings since December, kind of getting market awareness and market adoption to it and trying to educate the market on how we're going to build this platform. No one's told us we're out of our mind, which is a good thing. A lot of them have told us it can't be done, but then the minute we tell them that NASDAQ is behind us, they kind of understand it and see the concept of it. Publishers love it. Publishers like it because they're able to have a direct relationship via an exchange or a platform rather than going into the direct relationship through our platform. Advertisers and agencies are seeing the benefit of it. They're always a little bit more difficult to adopt to the market, but they're actually, a lot of the large holding companies that we talk to have seen a real need for it, and they love the ability.
Why do you think? Why is there a need for it for them? Because obviously they've got trading deals in place. This is effectively could potentially replace a lot of those trading deals.
Yeah, but because they're able to retrade contracts within their own holding company or within the agencies and advertisers that we have within the platform, that's an appetite to them also. Okay. They also love the fact of having transparent look into all the different publishers rather than into the black box of the RTB world.
Okay. When are we likely to see something from you guys then? Is there a launch date for this, or?
I'm not allowed to say. Richard won't allow me to.
Okay.
But
so the process we're going through right now is we're running a pilot right up until launch, and launch is somewhere between Q3 and Q4 time frame this year. And that pilot is initially designed to get early participants' feedback into the product to make sure that we're designing it, not designing it kind of in a black box, making sure we're getting feedback from our clients. Because we've come with these financial concepts and because we've come with a base of NASDAQ, we want to make sure we get that translation right. So that process will happen right the way up until later on this year, at which time 1.0 version of the product will come and ultimately will be open for business for anybody that's interested, and be very transparent at that point about the client base.
So I assume this is going to move just beyond digital display as well. So anything connected to digital, like digital at home, will be in the mix for this stuff as well.
Yeah, right now our focus is solely on the digital world.
Right.
We felt there's a huge need within the digital landscape for publishers and advertisers to be able to work together in a more transparent, efficient way. After that, TV, out of home, radio,
press,
print, all of that is definitely in our foreseeable future.
I think it's important to note that because this is an exchange of a media contract, right? Advertising contract. Actually, whether it be digital or non-digital, it's not really important, right? And actually, cross-media could be a focus of ours, or will be a focus of ours in the future too. So because it's the contract and it's not the delivery, actually, it's almost easier because we're not dealing with the delivery mechanism
at
the time of trade.
Right.
We have to deal with it later.
Okay. And what in terms of sort of like, I expect your focus is going to be US initially, but can you move? Given the platform you have, you can do this internationally as well. I mean, there's no reason to say that you can't facilitate contract buying in the UK or France or Germany or wherever.
Yeah, because we're cloud-based and because it's a global platform, we're definitely going to focus here in North America to start and then move internationally after we launch towards the end of the year.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing this Futures Exchange out in the open at the end of the year or wherever he's planned to launch. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having us. Appreciate it.
And that was Trader Talk TV. We'll see you next time.